see two things in Los Angeles: voter ID, so that the people have a chance to vote, and I want to see the water be released and come down into Los Angeles and throughout the state. Those are the two things. After that, I will be the greatest president that California has ever seen. Well, I want the water to come down and come down to Los Angeles, and also go out to all the farmland that's barren and dry. You know, they have land that they say is the equivalent of the land in Iowa, which is about as good as there is anywhere on earth. The problem is it's artificial, because they artificially stop the water from going onto the land. So I want two things. I want voter ID for the people of California, and they all want it. Right now you don't have voter ID. People want to have voter identification. You want to have proof of citizenship. Ideally, you have one-day voting, but I just want voter ID as a start, and I want the water to be released, and they're going to get a lot of help from the U.S. Thank you very much. I'll see you in a little while.
Also on tariffs, I often agree with you on tariffs, but how about no tariffs on building materials for the next 3 years?
We'll take a look at that, actually.
Mr. President.
The Mayor, please.
Yes. First of all, let me just take the opportunity to officially welcome you to Los Angeles. Really appreciate you coming, and especially you come just a few days after your inauguration. So I want you to know that your presence here is very much appreciated. Let me also say that I know you had an opportunity to see the devastation. You've seen the extreme loss, the grief that people are going through here. And we are 100% committed to getting this neighborhood rebuilt again. You mentioned a couple of things in terms of us expediting. So I signed executive directives right away so that we could cut the red tape.
Why the you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop lying.
A few moments later.
Mr. President, my name is Joel Pollack, and I am a journalist with Breitbart News, but I happen to live in the Pacific Palisades, as do other colleagues. One colleague, John Kahn, wrote the song Fighter, which you played at your campaign rallies. He lost his house and the studio he wrote that song in. We were lucky because I was able to fight the fire on my fence. But when I got to my house, there was no water in the pipes. So I got inside and I picked up the flower vases, because I give my wife flowers every week, and there was water there, and we started with that. Then I found my son's bucket of baseballs, and I dumped the baseballs on the ground, and I used the bucket. But there was still no water, except for the water in the gutter coming from the burnt homes uphill. So I went to and fro to my gutter and my fence with my bucket. Two guys showed up in a truck, two neighbors. We found two more buckets, bucket after bucket after bucket. Many of my neighbors, including some here, tried to fight the fires. They couldn't. We were lucky our house was saved. But we should not have to rely on buckets to put out a fire.
That's right.
You can't stop an 80-mile-per-hour wind or 100-mile-per-hour wind, but there were many things that went wrong here that are basic and small. We did not have traffic police to guide the evacuation, so there was gridlock on Sunset. They've removed the vehicles now, but there were dozens of vehicles that were abandoned by drivers who fled for their lives because there were no traffic cops available. The fire department wasn't pre-deployed, even though there was an extreme wind event coming. And many of my neighbors lost their fire insurance in the days before the blaze. So I asked my neighbors, what would they want to know if I could ask the president a question? And the number one thing was insurance. Can you work with the insurance companies to get people back to where they were before they lost the coverage because of California's regulations? And can you make California change its rules so that when we build again, we can get fire insurance and we don't have to worry? And there's one other point I want to make. I really appreciate my congressman advocating for money. We need the money from the federal government. But I also understand Americans who are tired of spending money on California and disasters happen, and the California government passes $50 million to oppose your policy. So they have $50 million for that, but not for moving people into rental homes or helping people relocate or rebuild. I would like to ask you to follow the 9/11 Commission precedent and appoint a special master to watch the money, to make sure that every federal dollar that gets spent here is spent on fire relief and rebuilding and not on everything else.
I signed executive directives right away so that we could cut the red tape.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
We could get people back building as fast as possible.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit.
And we're going to continue doing that.
Mayor, the one thing is they
Yes.
are saying they will not be allowed to start for 18 months.
No, that will not be the case.
Okay, I just hope
That
you're
will
right.
not, you can hold me to it.
Four groups said that. and
No.
That would be, they should
No,
be able
that-
to do it. They should be able to start tonight.
That will not be the case. You know, first we have to take care to make sure that there's not getting rid of the hazardous waste, cleaning things up so that people can start right away. And just like you said, if somebody had their house was destroyed and they're going to rebuild essentially the same, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit higher, they really shouldn't have to go through much of a process. So I want you to know that we are expediting that. We absolutely need your help. We need the federal help. You're a
You got it,
builder.
I told you. You will have no permit problem. There will be zero delay. And as far as I'm concerned, you already have the permits.
And the resource.
I am more worried because I met at least 8 groups of homeowners, and I'm much more worried about the fact that they said it's 18 months exactly, and they were devastated. They want to start now. They want to start removing things. They're not allowed to do it now. And you mentioned hazardous waste. Well, the hazardous waste. What's hazardous waste? I mean, you're going to have to define that. We're going to go through a whole series of questions on determining what's hazardous.
Nope.
I just think you have to allow the people to go on their site and start the process tonight.
And we will.
Okay, good.
You can come back and check.
Last night, 18 months. So if that's not the answer, Mayor Bass, what is the answer? Because
What everybody said.
that's what we were all told last night.
Well, and let me just tell you that we are going to do everything we can, slashing regulations, expediting everything so that people can begin the process right away. You know, we have the Disaster Recovery Center on Pico and Westwood. We have building and safety there. People are already contacting the local agencies. We're bringing our city departments together so that people don't get caught in the loop of going from one room to the next. We want them all to be in the same room so that you can get busy rebuilding ASAP. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And we will clear the lots, absolutely, in the city and in the county. We are working together. Both levels of government are working in unity.
That'd be 18 months. Is it not 18 months? Is it like that's the answer that we got, and that's what we're all hanging on.
Yes.
So if you're telling us now faster, is it 6 months? Is it? I mean, all of our lives, rents, all this stuff is weighing on this.
6 months is no good.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And you know, we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost a
and
lot.
they can.
You
And
should
they are
let them
able
do
to-
it because
No,
by the
they
time you
can do
hire
that.
contractors, it's
Right.
going to be 2 years.
If a family...
People are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can
There's
do
not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract
If
that's going to
individuals
charge him
want to build-
$25,000 to do his lot.
Yeah.
I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed an
you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, Everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit, and the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
That was last night.
And that was last night.
On that.
Meanwhile,
Okay.
Mr. President.
Sir, go ahead. Thank you. Some good news from Paradise. We stood together there 6 years ago, along with the governor.
That was
That 3,400 homes have been rebuilt out of the 18,000 lost, and there's 400 more in the wings. And so FEMA was very helpful. Now my colleague who has Altadena here, probably a very similar situation. Clearing the lots, they're probably going to have to clear about a foot worth of soil underneath those foundations to get the toxicity out. So they'll need a lot of help. Those are working class folks in Altadena.
And we did a good job with you
and
people.
FEMA was extremely helpful.
Yep.
30,000.
That was the old days when FEMA was good. FEMA's no good anymore.
Yeah.
That was when we ran it. FEMA was very good, but now FEMA's not good.
We got to get them on track.
flashback.
Another issue that highlighted the incompetency of Joe Biden was hurricane relief and FEMA's reaction, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Joe Biden was in charge, but Kamala Harris was running, and there was there was an avoidance of wanting to talk about how significant the impact is on so many communities based on two hurricanes. Now, according to the Daily Wire, this is a staggering story. FEMA officials, so, you know, which should be helping everybody, directed hurricane relief workers in Florida to avoid certain homes that had Trump signs in their lawn. Okay, here's the report according to the Daily Wire. A FEMA supervisor told workers in a message to avoid homes advertising Trump as they canvassed Lake Placid, Florida, to identify residents who could qualify for federal aid. Internal messages viewed by the Daily Wire reveal. The supervisor, Marnie Washington, relayed this message both verbally and in group chat used by the relief team. Multiple government employees told the Daily Wire. So now hurricane relief also politicized.
Yeah, no question. And by the way, there was already outrage that so many FEMA funds had been raided to give to illegal immigrants. And so obviously people are saying we gotta take the politics out of something as essential as emergency relief. I mean, this is insane. And by the way, the FEMA spokesperson has a statement. FEMA helps all survivors regardless of their political preference or affiliation. And we are deeply disturbed by this employee's actions. While we believe this is an isolated incident, we've taken measures to remove the employee from their role and are investigating the matter to prevent this from happening ever again. The employee who issued this guidance had no authority and was given no direction from anyone to tell teams to avoid these homes. And we are reaching out to the people who have not been reached as a result of this incident. Will, I mean, I'm surprised that, I mean, you see lots of agencies getting politicized. This is one you really wouldn't expect.
Well, it's not just... To me, it's my focus is less on FEMA and more, I would imagine this is the case in every government agency. And what it does is show the depth of the cancer inside of our government.
Yeah.
And that you have to root out politicization at the highest levels, for example, of the DOJ. But you have to also understand there's a bureaucracy under every one of these state departments where you have, you know, foot soldiers who behave in the same manner as Merrick Garland. Right. And in order to really reform the bureaucracy, I actually think you are going to need, like Elon Musk walking through the lobbies of Washington, D.C. with a sink in his hands. He's going to have to sit there with the Department of Government Efficiency and cut it down to the size you could drown it in a bathtub. Otherwise, this is where we are now.
That's the challenge. That, to me, is one of the most interesting things about how this will play out. So Elon Musk fired 90% of Twitter, turned it into X because he had to change the culture. It doesn't work that way with government. You wish it could. I remember what we did with the department.
You can, though.
You can. You just have to do it on a certain process, and you got to be dedicated to doing it and demonstrating how to do it.
Well, the first thing you have to do is take out the unionization of federal employees so that they're fireable. Absolutely. And I also heard that, and by the way, Vivek...
That is a massive task. We did that at the VA when we were running out, at just the VA, and they refuse to use it inside the VA. Yeah. So the government bureaucracy then fights back and says, okay, we have this tool, but we're not going to use it. And they certainly don't. I mean, it's the fight worth having. That is the fight to have.
It is the most important fight. And
I would be equally pessimistic just because based upon our history and the size of this thing. I think the only thing that gives me some inspiration, well, there's two things. One, the involvement of Elon Musk. I think that is incredibly big. And the second is to see some model of it in Argentina with Javier Milei. I mean, he has actually cut down government when it's hard to find an example on the world stage. There is actually one in Argentina.
Yeah. And they have seen, by the way, a decrease in their inflation rates, like at this astounding rate, just since he took office. So these things can be turned around. The other thing that Donald Trump said just this week, I believe, he said, we're going to move some of these agencies to other states. That's a really amazing way to make sure that it's not just these really liberal D.C. suburb kind of people that are populating the bureaucracy. Get it out, decentralize, make sure that these agencies are representative of the people. And I think that would help to get them depoliticized. It's an amazing idea.